All right, y'all. Welcome to episode 2 of Fortunes by Florence. I am Sarita, your Chief Spiritual Officer, and today we are reading from Florence's book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. This is one of the more popular books by Florence. You can find many people reading it on YouTube, a lot of study guides on it. But one of my favorite parts is called Casting the Burden, or as the saints also like to say, letting go and letting God. And I'm going to read a little bit from this chapter and then talk about how I have used the treatment, one of the treatments that Florence gives in this chapter, and how it has helped me. So in this chapter, casting the burden, impressing the subconscious, a metaphysician, once explained it in this manner. He said, the only thing which gives anything weight in nature is the law of gravitation. And if a boulder could be taken high above the planet, there would be no weight in that boulder. And that is what Jesus Christ meant when he said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. He had overcome the world vibration and functioned in the fourth dimensional realm where there is only perfection, completion, life, and joy. He said, come to me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. We are also told in the 55th Psalm to cast thy burden upon the Lord. Many passages in the Bible state that the battle is God's, not man's, and that man is always to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. So this is one that always kind of stops me, because you are tasked to not only cast your burdens and trust God, trust infinite spirit, trust divine source, but you're also tasked with doing what it is that you can, almost as a show of what I would say is devotion. What I have found, and where I used to get caught up, and sometimes I still do, is seeing more so being patient while I wait for my manifestation to take place. Because while I am waiting, I am trying my best not to waver, because infinite spirit doesn't waver, says what it wants, and it just allows it to come. So when I am not in that vibration where there are no limits, like that example of the boulder, right? The boulder, if it was in space, would be weightless, limitless. There's no weight. So how can I be weightless? How can I be limitless? How can I say what I want and then let it go? So the treatment that Florence suggested for a student who wanted a piano, and she became desperate. The piano was on its way. It's something that she manifested and she wanted it, but she really didn't have the room for it. And she was stressing. She asked Florence for a treatment, because this is what Florence did. Florence would just send treatments to people. People could, trusted Florence. She was just so highly vibrational that she could give you a sentence and a word and you can go out there and say it, and just trusting it. Sometimes it's easier for us to have trust and faith in the word and direction for our life coming from someone else, pastor, spiritual leader, yoga instructor, doctor, and we don't trust what we also know to be true. Nevertheless, the treatment that she gave was, I cast this burden on the Christ within and I go free. And then a few moments later, this woman's phone rang, and it was someone asking if she could rent the old piano, because the reason she didn't have space for the new piano that she desired, wanted, and manifested is because she needed to get rid of the older one. So someone has now come in and just saved the day because she just let it go. Now that's a really simple example. Like, oh, I wish all my issue was that I had a old piano that I needed to get rid of because I got a new one. I manifested a new one. But the idea is still the same. Sometimes you can't accept something because you just have this level of disbelief. You have some resentment or some bitterness. But even that, cast that burden, cast that care. Like, I cast this burden of resentment and bitterness on the Christ within, and I go free. Let God deal with it. I don't have time for this. He already knew what this was. I don't have to deal with this. So that is today's Fortune by Florence. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you have ever cast your burdens, cast your cares, and gave it up to God, and how you were able to do it, because a lot of people struggle with that. All right, until next time, bye-bye.